Hello, Cameron.
Hi Petra, how are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, good.
I saw you on the beach in Scotland on Facebook,
Yes.
that's to say.
Yeah, that was a great couple of days. We had a wonderful time, and of course, it's just great to have everybody back together again,
Yeah,
working in the real space. It's
amazing.
very exciting. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really
So
good.
tell me about that. I saw the picture of everybody standing there, and did you actually do filming there?
We didn't do any filming. The whole idea for being up there at this time,
Yeah.
because this is the first time we'd been there together for 15 months, which
Wow.
is hard to believe,
Yeah.
is that the project has developed so strangely, and it's turned into
Mm.
two separate but related things. So we needed to get back into the space to work
Mm.
out exactly how we were going to use it. You know, we had these ideas in, what year was it, last year? In
Yeah.
2020. We had these
Yeah.
years when we were up there together working,
Mm.
and we had lots of ideas about how we were going to use the space.
Mm.
And because of lockdown, the project has developed in a very different way. It's turned into something quite different, you know, with Angus's work with the writing, and Purni's work with writing a radio play. So we had to be there really to work out what
Mm.
does the show look like? You know, what are we trying to present here? And how
Yeah.
does that link with the narrative that Purni's created around the radio side of it? So yeah,
Yeah.
it was a really interesting thing. Combination of trying to work out what to do, and also the very necessary technical aspect of it. That, you know, a couple of the people there were, we had Diana, our production manager, and we had Dave, our kind of technical manager, and
Mm.
Rory, the technical manager as well, and Andrew, one of the other composers on the project, was also there. Angus and I, of course, are there to make music together and do other things. So yeah, it was a
But
really
I
useful,
remember.
exciting
Yeah,
thing.
I remember when I spoke to you when we were still in lockdown, you told me about this radio version basically of the project. But just recap a bit so that so we can link the what you are doing now at the moment, then how this was done in lockdown, because you couldn't then go and film and or do the project as you were supposed to do. I
Yeah, I mean,
remember.
these
Yeah.
were meant to have been. It's meant to have been a couple of weeks worth of live performances
Oh, live performance.
in the dune spaces, in
Mm,
this wonderful dune complex on the east coast of Scotland near Arbroath called
mm,
Lunan Bay. And the what Ang this came from a slightly bizarre connection that Angus had thought of from the name Lunan, because nobody
mm.
really knows where it comes from, and he connected that to Mesopotamia and Lunana,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
and so we're making these kind of connections between ancient flood mythology, the
Mm,
Mesopotamian flood mythology, and the Apkallu, these sort of demigods, the half human, half fish that came to give humans wisdom in Mesopotamian mythology, and relating that to where we are in the east coast of Scotland and what happened 8,000 years ago that created that landscape, which
mm,
was the Storega slide, where a part of the continental shelf near Norway just collapsed, and it
mm.
created an enormous tsunami that effectively created what is the coastline of Scotland now. You know,
Oh,
it must
okay.
have swept
Yeah.
away lots of Mesolithic sites. You know,
Yeah.
it obviously devastated the area.
Mm.
So it's kind of linking those ideas, and also in Celtic mythology, the salmon is also a bringer of knowledge. So there's that really
Yeah.
nice connection between the Mesopotamian Apkallu figure of
Mm.
fish, half man, half fish, bringing knowledge, and the Celtic mythological creature of the salmon also
Mm.
bringing knowledge. So it was a way of tying all of those things together, which sounds very fanciful, I know. Um, but we were
That
going to be
sounds
doing
wonderful. Mm.
performances in the dune complex and using
Wow.
the space around us to create some kind of experience. And we're using all sorts of different things like pre-recorded sounds, found sounds. The photograph you saw on the beach also had one of our marimbas in it. Um,
Mm.
so we're also creating a kind of ritualistic atmosphere in the big
Mm.
dune, which is the
Mm.
third dune that the people will go through. And so there's a kind of big performance happening in there. And that all links, it was sort of reverse engineered really by Purni, in that we're constantly asking ourselves, okay, why are we there? I know we want to make something of these dunes and
Yeah.
but why? What is it? Why is this performance
Mm.
happening? And so she rather brilliantly came up with this idea of a whole backstory of a journalist who'd been doing research into that kind of thing. And so it managed to link the Mesopotamian references and the the place that we were in,
Mm.
which became the radio play. So there's been a
Mm.
really interesting cross fertilization of those ideas. The
Mm.
physical original idea for making a physical event
Mm.
seeded what has become the radio play, and that of course, because we've spent more time on that than we have on the physical event yet.
Mm.
It's really kind of creating a little creative feedback loop. So all of the kind of stuff that Purni made for the radio play
Mm.
is coming back into what we will make in September for the performances.
But because this is what I found at the time when you told me about the radio play, that I found so fascinating that you can switch it over, that you can make it almost that in something only audible, that you're not in that environment. And how do you find it now that you link this, or how is it now when you're actually there to? Do you think differently how you do this setup?
It is very different, and I think
Mm.
it's now very different because we're now having had the experience of working through the radio play and
Yeah,
abstracting it in a way to make it
yeah,
something
yeah.
that isn't necessarily contingent on
Mm.
place, even though it refers to it very clearly. I mean, it's certainly
Mm.
it's still set in that place, but obviously you're trying to create it in sound.
Yeah.
Um, that having the physical space around us again, I mean, it has made us think quite differently
Mm.
about what we're going to do, and I think in the end, it's going to turn it into more of a performance event
Mm.
rather than a soundscape. I mean, there'll be elements of sound art installation. There'll be
Yeah.
elements of that, but I think though there are now more live performance elements, I think that we
Mm.
hadn't really considered before.
But now you're saying it's in the dunes there, so it's all open air.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
which is
But
brave given the Scottish
yeah,
weather, but
yes.
September we might be all right.
And the sand, I'm thinking of the sand and the instruments. How do you, and of course, do you have to take into consideration the humidity, or is there no, the from the sea, the spray on the instruments and so on,
Well, I
or is it
think
not that
we're
close?
dealing. I mean, that's a very good point, and that is something that, in fact, they were asking me about, as if I
Oh,
had
yeah.
any experience of it. But
Yeah.
I mean, luckily, we've got a fantastic technical team who,
Mm.
with all of the electronics that we're using, There'll be
mm,
lots. I mean, the whole thing will be quite overwhelming with sound, big sub
mm,
speakers, and lots of speakers dotted around
mm.
the dunes, just giving a different experience of the space, really.
Yeah.
So they know that they can cope with that because
Mm,
they're very experienced in doing outdoor theatrics,
mm,
and I think probably the most dangerous thing for our wooden instruments, the marimba, would actually be
mm.
incredibly hot sun. So the
Oh,
chances of
okay.
that happening are is going to be quite slim.
Oh, yeah, yeah. In Scotland, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we need
Yeah.
to worry about the rain or the
The
humidity too.
rain. Yeah, yeah. But isn't it amazing that it was only, I mean, we say it's a year, but it's happened so quick that you're back there and that things are happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's thrilling, and I've been
Mm,
clinging to this project like a life raft
mm,
for what seems like this entire year, really, and
mm,
it was just so good to be back in that space, to know that it was actually
mm.
happening.
Yeah,
So I mean, obviously we still don't know
yeah.
what can happen over the summer with
Mm,
COVID variants and things that could still
mm,
shut us down, but there's that sense of progress and
yeah.
positivity. Was great to have.
Mm. Did everybody feel that? Was everybody excited and sort of
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was
really?
great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a
Mm,
fantastic team of people.
mm. Oh,
All really amazing in their own
okay.
fields, and it's just yeah, it's a real privilege and a pleasure to be with them. And it's good fun.
Mm.
We all spark it off each other quite well, I think.
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful time, really, when things are slowly going back to happening. That we celebrate this, that we get excited about it, and
Yeah,
I think it's wonderful because it brings it also a different energy. This oh, we're back, and oh, it's the first time back, or the first performance back, and that. I think really we should celebrate that.
absolutely. And I've
Yeah.
really enjoyed watching your Vienna photographs, which are
Oh,
usually the backs of musicians carrying
yes,
instruments through, and it's just lovely because there's a musician, they've got
yes,
their instrument, they're going somewhere to play it, and it's a
exactly.
real sense of welcome back. It's great.
Yeah, and there's Petra running after them without
Yes.
them seeing me. The stalker of Vienna.
The stalker, yeah, absolutely. It's good. No, it's
But
really good. Great to see.
I live near the university, so I find it so fascinating to see them. And it's exactly what you're saying, that for a very long time, you didn't see that anymore, and now it's back, and I just love, and I'm so rooting for the young students and the young musicians, because I think it was a hard time for them as well.
Incredibly hard, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's difficult for hardened old professionals like me, but
Mm,
really difficult for people who are just entering the profession or are still studying, that they
yeah,
can't play together. It's
yeah.
that's the whole point of being a musician, is this
Mm,
corporate spirit, this feeling of togetherness, this feeling of being greater than the sum of your parts, that you're part of
yeah.
something much bigger, and they haven't been able to experience any of that, and it's been very
Mm.
difficult for them.
Yeah, and I've spoken to a pianist, a young pianist who's now doing his first concert back, and he was also saying that it's that all the time practicing in his room is so different than suddenly being out there in a concert hall and then playing. It's also a adjustment, a mental adjustment that has to be done.
Yeah, and I
Mm,
I haven't really experienced that much yet. I mean, once or
mm,
twice. I haven't done any concerts yet. I have done some records, and even
mm,
stepping into a venue to do some recordings, it
mm.
feels. I mean, it feels great to be back, but I'm also slightly aware that it's now unusual, whereas it used to be,
yeah,
you know, not
yeah.
every day of the week, but commonplace. So yeah,
Mm.
it's an interesting feeling, you know.
But you're also teaching at the Royal Academy of Music,
Royal College.
a Royal College of Music,
Yeah.
and your students all back now, and you teaching face to
Well,
face
I
now,
mean,
or still on
my
Zoom?
yeah, my junior students have had a special dispensation to come in, whereas a lot of the rest of the college has still been shut off. But
Okay.
because we're dealing with big instruments that you might not necessarily have at home,
Mm.
then they've been allowed to come in, and I've been going in every week to teach them. And so that's been great, you know, because there was
Yeah.
a real desire to get these people back together again,
Mm.
and they wanted to be back together again. And we've had to manage it carefully, you know, with
Mm.
staying 2 meters apart and making sure that everything's
Yeah.
disinfected, and keeping all the windows open and all of that kind of stuff, you know. But
Mm.
it's worked, and it's been worth
Mm.
it. It was worth all the extra hassle
Hassle.
just to
And
get
do
them
you
back
still
together
have to
again.
wear masks when you together?
I think you do when you're wandering around the building,
Mm.
but I think now, one to one, I think you don't
Mm.
have to,
Oh, okay. Mm.
which is another interesting thing because of, you know, it's so easy now to see how these masks make
Yes.
communication much more
Mm.
difficult, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
However
Um,
necessary they were.
no, I totally agree, and I think it's uh, I didn't. I was waiting for my daughter on the tube uh, at the tube station one day now recently, and she was in the train, and I was supposed to get into the carriage when the train stopped there, and I literally watched this girl, and the train left, and she was like, and I really didn't recognize my own daughter with the mask. Isn't it incredible?
Yeah,
And
that's
and that made me think, isn't it amazing that we just see the masks now, and not the faces anymore. So I think it's and of course for teachers, I think it's so important, this really this connection, and this with the speaking and seeing each other. Yeah.
yeah, because it's not just
Mm.
about imparting information. It's
Yeah.
about going through something together, and it's
Yeah.
much harder to do that when you're 2 meters apart
Exactly.
and masked.
Yeah. Listen, Cameron, so when, as you say, these performances are in September now, please tell me that there will be a live streaming.
Oh, no, I meant to
That
bring
would
that
be,
up at the meeting and I completely forgot. So thank you for reminding me. Um,
yes,
I'm absolutely convinced that we have to have some kind of
yes.
filmed record of
Mm,
the event anyway. I mean,
mm.
surely we must have thought of that. But live streaming, I don't know. I will ask.
Yeah,
Maybe,
because or any kind of, so like you say,
yeah.
any kind of filming, so that at least we here in Vienna can, and all over the world can see this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
also hoping that we'll be able to, you know, there'll be little spin-off things that happen from it as well.
yeah.
I'm hoping that
Mm,
anywhere with some sand dunes will take us. So
mm.
if you can think of anywhere else with sand dunes, then, you know, we'll see if we can
Yes.
sell the project
Oh,
into them as well.
I'll definitely have a look. Sorry, it won't be Vienna, but
No,
somewhere
sadly
we'll
not,
find.
but that's definitely not on the list.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, but that I would really love to see that. I mean, already when you told me about the radio recordings, then or the radio show, then I thought it was, because that also, I think that uses more of the imagination, but I can just imagine if you're there and you're in this, and the smells of the sea and the,
Mm.
you know, the all the sounds with it. It must be amazing.
The certainly
Mm,
the aim is to make
mm,
it pretty overwhelming.
mm,
You know, it's an impressive sight anyway,
mm.
but you know,
Cameron,
with the
yeah.
yeah, the
No, no,
sound
no. Tell, yeah,
that I hope will make it memorable.
yeah. Cameron, now just one thing that I want to ask you. Do you have any pre-performance habits that you can share?
Just
Do you eat something
checking.
special?
I don't really do anything special. I don't. I pace up and down a lot,
Oh, okay.
which is a very
Mm,
bad habit.
mm.
I don't have any rituals really, other than just walking up and down and keep trying to breathe.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, stage fright, it's a terrible thing,
Mm,
even in small degrees. But,
mm.
you know, just trying to, not really stage fright, but just trying to control the
Yeah,
adrenaline
yeah.
is the main
Mm.
thing.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, I don't particularly have any rituals or anything. But yeah,
Mm.
I like to keep moving.
Oh, okay. No, but it's yeah, everybody has their thing, and moving is, like you say, you know, breathing and moving. Good,
Yeah,
good idea. Mm.
yeah.
Cameron, it was so lovely to talk to you again, and please keep me updated when there's anything that we can watch still, and I'll be stalking you on Facebook
Great.
and see what you post. Yeah,
And I'll be
and
looking forward to seeing more of your photographs
yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, and thank you for following that. You know, the photographs,
and
um,
the interviews as
and I hope
well.
to see you soon
Really
in
interesting.
Vienna
Yeah,
for
I will come and
for
see you.
whatever project you're coming. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Take care, Petra. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.